The night over Earth was calm, too calm. The stars shined as they always did, but there was a strange feeling in the air. It was the kind of silence that came before a storm. People on Earth did not notice anything unusual. They were busy with their lives, working, sleeping, dreaming. But deep under the ground, something old was moving. For millions of years, Earth had been silent. It had been a planet of oceans, mountains, forests, and skies. It had been a home for humans, animals, and countless forms of life. To everyone, Earth was only a world of rock and water. But this night, something deep inside Earth began to wake up. At first, it was only a whisper. A pulse, soft and slow, rising from the core. Satellites orbiting Earth began to shake. Their signals turned weak, their systems glitched. Scientists thought it was just a magnetic storm. But the truth was far bigger. Earth's core was sending out waves of energy that no machine had ever recorded before. Far away, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council noticed it. Their great sensors hidden on moons and space stations caught the sudden energy spike. The readings were strange, wild, and impossible to explain. The council gathered in a tall chamber of shining crystal and dark steel. Dozens of alien leaders sat in silence as the reports came in. "This signal comes from Sector Blue 3, one commander said. "From the small planet humans call Earth." Some members of the council laughed. Earth was a primitive world, still fighting wars and still learning how to reach the stars. To the council, humans were not important, but one elder with gray skin and golden eyes did not laugh. He leaned forward and whispered words that made the chamber grow colder. "The records warned us. Do you remember the prophecy? Do not provoke the world of blue and green. Its rage can reach the stars." A heavy silence followed. Younger leaders waved their hands, dismissing the old warning. They said Earth was weak. They said humans were fragile, but the elder's voice carried a weight they could not ignore. If this energy is real, then Earth is not sleeping anymore. And if Earth is waking, we are already too late. Back on Earth, humans lived as if nothing had changed. But the planet was no longer calm. The oceans shifted in strange ways. Currents grew stronger. Waves crashed higher. In the deep forests, animals moved nervously. Birds flew in patterns no one understood. Even the wind carried a sound like a distant hum that some could almost hear. A young scientist named Daniel sat in his small observatory. He watched the sky every night, searching for signals from space. That night, his instruments began to act strange. The graphs danced with wild lines. The machines shook as if hit by an invisible hand. "What is this?" Daniel whispered. He checked again and again, but the results stayed the same. Unknown particles moving in strange rhythms were filling the sky. He felt his chest grow tight. It was as if Earth itself was speaking through his machines. Above him, the stars flickered for a moment. Just for a heartbeat, they looked dimmer, as though a shadow had passed between Earth and the heavens. Daniel stepped outside. The night was silent, but it was not peaceful. It was the silence of a predator waiting to strike. And across the galaxy, the council's debate grew louder. Some demanded action. Some said Earth must be watched. Others said it must be destroyed before it grew stronger. "We cannot ignore this," said the elder. "We must prepare. Earth is not just a planet. It is something greater, something ancient. If it wakes, it will shake the stars." The younger leaders laughed again, but their laughter did not hide the fear in their eyes. Because even they could feel it. The strange energy wave that had reached their systems carried something more than power. It carried a pulse. A heartbeat back on Earth, Daniel wrote in his journal. The planet is alive. The planet is angry. He did not know why he wrote those words. He did not know why his hands trembled. But deep in his mind, he felt something whisper back to him. The whisper said, "We are not alone. We were never alone, and now—" I rise. The night grew colder. The stars burned weaker. And far away in halls of power and fear, the Galactic Council realized the truth. The silence of Earth was over, and the storm was about to begin. The chamber of the Galactic Council was never quiet. Leaders from 100 worlds argued, traded, and schemed every day. But tonight, silence filled the vast hall. The great crystals that lit the chamber pulsed with dim light, as if even the walls were listening. On the central screen floated an image of Earth, small, blue, and glowing with strange energy. The readings around it told a story the Council did not want to believe. "This should not be possible," said Admiral Zorath, his voice heavy with disbelief. His scaled hands trembled as he pointed at the wave charts. "A planet with no advanced technology cannot produce this. The energy comes from the world itself." The younger counselors scoffed. To them, Earth was only a primitive rock. Humans were children who still burned fuel to reach orbit. They fought among themselves. They killed their own kind. They were fragile. They were weak. But the elder counselor Orlith, the one with golden eyes, did not laugh. He had lived long enough to remember the old warnings. His people had carved them into stone when their first ships learned to cross the stars. He stood slowly, his long robes brushing the floor. His voice was quiet, but every word carried weight. The prophecy was written in the age before records. Do not provoke the world of blue and green. Its rage can reach the stars. You all ignored these words. You all called them myths. But look at the data. Tell me, does this look like myth to you? No one answered. One counselor, young and proud, tried to speak. If Earth grows dangerous, we will crush it. Our fleets, your fleets? Orlith cut him off. Do you not see? Ships are built of metal. Weapons are fueled by energy. But Earth itself is both metal and energy. The planet is a living weapon, older and greater than any of us. Your fleets will shatter against its storms. The chamber grew colder. Reports from the observation ships arrived one after another. Sensors fried by sudden magnetic bursts. Cloaking fields ripped apart by invisible waves. A scout ship lost, its last signal screaming as it fell into the ocean. The council no longer laughed. What if Earth does not know what it is doing? Asked a thin, shadow-skinned counselor. What if these are only accidents of nature? Orlith shook his head. No accident moves with rhythm. No accident has a heartbeat. Earth is waking. It remembers. The words carried across the hall like thunder, and still none of them wanted to admit the truth. Because if Earth was truly alive, then the entire balance of power in the galaxy would change. One voice finally broke the silence. It was Chancellor Vera, a leader known for her cruelty. Then we act first. If Earth is stirring, we strike before it rises. We burn it from orbit. Let the humans scream. Better a dead planet than a galaxy of terror. Gasps filled the chamber. Some agreed, fear tightening their voices. Others shook their heads, warning that such an attack might trigger something far worse. Orlith stepped forward. His golden eyes burned.
Fools, you think fire will silence Earth?
Fire will only feed its rage. If you destroy it, the galaxy itself may suffer, the counselors argued. Voices rose like storms colliding. Fear battled pride. But behind their words, a darker truth grew stronger. None of them truly understood what Earth had become. While the debate raged far across the void, Earth pulsed again. The blue planet shone brighter. Oceans rolled with hidden power. Storms spun across its skies shaped by something greater than wind, and in their dreams humans began to feel it. Farmers, soldiers, children, and scientists all saw flashes of fire, waves, mountains tearing open. They woke in cold sweats, hearts pounding. None of them knew why. But the planet was whispering. The planet was preparing. The council's fear grew with every report. But still they hesitated. Should they wait and watch, or should they strike before the storm broke free? In the end, fear won. A secret order was given. A hidden fleet was prepared. Silent ships armed with planet killers began their journey toward Earth. The council told no one. Not their people, not their allies. They thought they could erase Earth quietly, before anyone else learned the truth. But the elder Orlith sat in the shadows of the chamber, his face hard with sorrow. He knew it was already too late, for the storm was not coming, the storm had already begun. Humans began to notice. The morning sun rose over Earth like it always did, but something in its light felt different. Brighter, sharper, as if the air itself carried a hidden fire. People looked up at the sky and felt a weight in their chests, though they could not explain why. It began with small things. Fishermen out at sea saw their compasses spin wildly, even though the water was calm. Pilots flying across the Atlantic found their radios filled with whispers, not static, whispers in a language no one understood. Children in villages pointed at the night sky and said, "The stars are breathing." At first, no one believed them. The world was busy with its endless problems, wars, politics, greed. But the signs grew stronger. In Tokyo, street lamps flickered in perfect rhythm like the beating of a giant heart. In Cairo, sandstorms appeared without warning, carving patterns in the desert that looked like veins. In New York, the power grid collapsed for 13 minutes, and when it returned, every screen displayed the same numbers, 444. The scientists tried to explain. But their answers sounded weak, broken, and afraid. One of them was Daniel, the young astronomer who had already seen strange signals. He spent his nights in his observatory, his machines buzzing with impossible data. But now it wasn't only the machines. Daniel himself had begun to change. He dreamed of oceans rising like towers of glass. He dreamed of mountains bending like living creatures. He dreamed of a voice calling his name from beneath the earth. The voice said, "Listen, do not fear. I'm awake." Daniel woke with sweat running down his face. His heart pounded as if it would break his ribs. And when he looked outside, the stars flickered again, the same way they had on the night of the first signal. He was not the only one. Around the world, millions of humans shared the same dreams. Farmers in Africa, soldiers in Europe, miners in South America, children in Asia, all saw flashes of the same vision. Fire, storm, a world alive. Governments panicked. They tried to hide the truth, but the people already knew something was happening. Rumors spread across the internet. The earth is angry. The earth is speaking. The earth is alive. And while humans whispered in fear, the Galactic Council watched from the shadows. Their hidden fleet moved closer to the solar system, preparing its weapons, but they were too late to hide. Earth felt them. Deep beneath the oceans, waves crashed harder. Volcanoes rumbled without eruption. Earth's magnetic field twisted violently, sending northern lights as far south as the equator. Humans gathered in streets, staring at the glowing skies. They felt awe, but also terror. Daniel received another dream that night. This time it was not just images. It was words, clear, strong, ancient. They come to kill me. They come to kill you. But together we are stronger. Together we rise. He woke gasping, clutching his head, his hands trembling. For a moment he thought he was losing his mind. But then his computer lit up on its own. Graphs drew themselves across the screen. The pattern was clear. It was a heartbeat. The heartbeat of Earth. Daniel whispered to himself. The planet is alive. The planet is calling us. Across the ocean, in the depths of the Galactic Council's flagship, commanders argued in panic. Their ships had been struck by invisible currents of force. Navigation systems scrambled, weapons shut down, shields cracked like glass. This is not technology, one captain cried. This is the planet itself fighting us. But still, the Council ordered them forward. They believed humans were too weak to matter. They believed Earth could still be silenced. They were wrong. Because in every corner of the planet, humans began to feel the same surge of power. Fear turned to fire. Confusion turned to resolve. It was as if the Earth was reaching into their blood, pulling out something ancient, something hidden, something stronger than fear. Daniel stood at his observatory window and whispered to the sky. We are not alone. We were never alone. And far below his feet, the planet answered with a low, endless rumble. The storm was no longer waiting. The storm had already touched every human heart. The first strike, the void between the stars, was never silent. Ships moved through it like shadows, their engines whispering against the dark. The fleet of the Galactic Council crept into the solar system. 30 warships cloaked in bending light. Their weapons armed, their orders clear. Strike Earth before it awakens fully. From their hidden command room, alien officers stared at the blue planet on their screens. To them, Earth looked small, fragile, defenseless. A world too young to resist the Council's power. Admiral Korath gave the order with cold certainty. Begin observation. Prepare the cleansing strike. The fleet descended past the orbit of Mars, invisible to human eyes. Cloaking fields shimmered around them like water. They thought Earth could not see them. They were wrong. The moment the first ship crossed into Earth's gravity, the planet shuddered. Seismic sensors all over the world screamed. Volcanoes groaned. The oceans roared louder than storms. It was not random. It was a warning. On the alien flagship, alarms blared. Magnetic interference. Shields destabilizing. Cloaking field tearing apart. One by one, their invisible ships began to flicker into sight. Above the blue world, ghostly outlines of metal giants appeared like phantoms in the sky. Humans on the surface looked up. In coastal cities, people pointed to the heavens where strange shadows glimmered. To them, it looked like the stars were cracking open. Fear spread, but awe too. Something beyond human imagination was happening. Daniel, standing at his observatory, felt his body go cold. His instruments were screaming, their graphs surging into chaos. He whispered the truth only he dared believe. They're here. The first strike began. A scout ship moving too close to Earth powered its main weapon. A beam of light brighter than lightning fired toward the Pacific Ocean. It was designed to boil seas, to split continents, but the ocean rose. A wall of water taller than mountains surged upward, swallowing the beam before it could touch the surface. The energy dissolved into steam, and the wave crashed down not on Earth, but on the ship itself. The scout screamed across the alien channels before vanishing into the deep, torn apart by the very water it tried to destroy. The Council's fleet froze in disbelief. "This is not possible," one commander shouted.
A planet cannot fight back.
Another cried, but Earth was not just defending. It was choosing targets. Magnetic storms erupted across the sky, reaching into orbit. Alien shields burned away like paper in fire. Engines died. 2 ships collided, tearing themselves apart. On Earth, humans saw auroras spread across every continent. Not green or red, but blinding white, as if the sky itself was alive. People fell to their knees in fear and wonder. Children pointed at the heavens and said, "It's protecting us." Daniel's dream returned in his waking mind. Together, we rise. The Galactic Council's fleet staggered, half its strength crippled before it even fired a second shot. In the command chamber of the flagship, Admiral Korath's voice trembled for the first time. "This is not war. This is judgment." Still, the order remained. Strike harder. Strike faster. Silence the world before it grew stronger. But with every attack, Earth grew louder. Storms howled across continents. Quakes split mountains. The heartbeat of the planet pulsed through every human soul. Daniel pressed his hand to the glass of his observatory window. He did not feel fear anymore. He felt power. His voice was quiet but certain. "We are not weak. We were never weak. The Earth is with us." Above him, another alien ship fell from the sky, burning in fire as it crashed into the Atlantic. The first strike was supposed to end Earth. Instead, it had only awakened its rage, and somewhere, deep beneath the crust, something even greater stirred, something Earth had hidden for eons, waiting for the moment when its children would need it most. The Council thought they had attacked a planet, but they had touched a sleeping giant. And the giant was no longer sleeping. Humanity Awakens, the world had survived the first strike, but it was no longer the same. The oceans had swallowed ships of war. The skies had burned with living light. The mountains had shaken with fury. Humanity stood in awe, trembling under a sky that no longer looked silent. And yet something deeper had begun. In villages, cities, and deserts, humans woke from the same dream. Farmers in Africa, miners in Australia, soldiers in Europe, children in South America, all saw the same vision, a sky filled with fire, oceans rising like walls, and a voice that echoed in their bones. "Do not fear. You are not alone. My strength is your strength. My rage is your rage." At first, people thought they were losing their minds, but when millions of humans shared the same dream, it could no longer be ignored. Doctors reported impossible cases, patients lifting weights twice their size, blind men seeing light for the first time, children predicting earthquakes seconds before they struck. Something was changing inside the human body itself. Daniel, the astronomer, felt it most of all. His hands no longer trembled with fear, but with power. His thoughts moved faster, sharper, as if guided by an invisible hand. When he touched the soil in his garden, he felt warmth, like the pulse of a living heart beneath the ground. He realized the truth. Earth was not only defending itself, Earth was linking with its children. The Galactic Council, watching from their crippled fleet, felt panic. Their scouts had been destroyed. Their shields had failed. Their weapons had been swallowed by storms, and now, humans themselves were changing. "This is impossible," one general hissed. "They were primitives, fragile, divided. How can they—" "They are not doing it alone," Admiral Korath interrupted. His voice was dark with fear. "The planet is binding with them. It is awakening them. And if they rise together, no fleet in the galaxy can stand against them." The chamber fell silent. Every commander felt the same truth. If they did not act now, Earth would no longer just be a world to erase. It would become a force to fear. A secret weapon was prepared. A weapon so terrible the Council had hidden it for centuries. A sun killer forged in forbidden labs designed to tear the heart out of living worlds. They had sworn never to use it. Now Earth's awakening left them no choice. Meanwhile, On the planet, humans gathered in streets and fields staring at the glowing skies. For the first time in history, nations that had fought for centuries stood side by side, united not by politics, not by greed, but by survival. Soldiers lowered their weapons against one another. Scientists shared secrets without hesitation. Leaders spoke words not of power but of unity. The voice of Earth whispered to them all, "Together. Only together will you endure." Daniel stood before a crowd at his observatory, his voice carrying a strength he had never known before. The world is alive. It fights for us. It calls us. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are the children of Earth, and we will rise with it. The crowd did not cheer. They did not need to. Their silence was stronger. In that silence, every man, woman, and child felt the same fire burning in their blood. Above them, the Council's weapon charged. On the flagship, Chancellor Vera gave the order. Her voice was cold, filled with fear disguised as courage. "Fire the Sunkiller. Let Earth burn," engines roared. Energy gathered. The weapon pointed at the blue planet, its light growing brighter than stars. But Earth was ready. The ground trembled. Oceans rolled. Mountains split open. And deep in the core, something older than humanity itself stirred for the first time in ages. The humans felt it in their bones. Their dreams merged into one. Their voices whispered the same words in 1,000 languages, carried by the same heartbeat. We are awake. The Council thought they faced only a planet, but now they faced a planet and its people united as one. The true storm was coming, and this time it would not be Earth alone that raged. It would be humanity itself. Earth's rage, the stars above Earth trembled. From the Council's flagship, the Sunkiller fired. It was not a beam of light. It was a wound in space, a tearing scream that burned black across the void. It shot straight for Earth's heart, carrying enough power to split a world in half. On the surface, people looked up and saw the sky blaze with a false dawn. A light brighter than the sun itself streaked down. Entire cities froze in silence. Mothers pulled their children close. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Priests whispered prayers. Daniel stood on the roof of his observatory, his face pale in the glow. He whispered, "This is the end." But Earth was not afraid. The ground shook like a drum. Oceans roared. Clouds swirled into colossal spirals. From deep within the core, the planet's heartbeat thundered through every human soul. The humans felt it. Not fear, not despair. Power. The beam struck. But instead of shattering, Earth answered. The oceans rose into a shield of living water, higher than mountains, thicker than steel. The skies ignited with lightning, weaving into a net of fire. The mountains groaned and pushed upward, harder than any fortress. The Sunkiller beam slammed into the shield. The world screamed, but it did not break. The water boiled, the skies tore, the land quaked. Yet the planet held, and then it pushed back. The oceans crashed upward, throwing tsunamis into space. Lightning spears stabbed through the void, striking alien ships. Volcanoes erupted in unison, blasting ash and fire into orbit, hitting the fleet with molten fury. One by one, the Council's warships burned. Their weapons went dark. Their screams echoed across the stars. Admiral Korath, staring at the destruction, whispered in terror, This is not war. This is a god." But Earth was not done. The humans, bound to their planet, felt the rage inside them. Soldiers who once fought each other now fought together. Children who once feared the dark now stood tall, their eyes glowing faintly with Earth's fire. Scientists discovered they could understand signals no machine could read. Ordinary people lifted, moved, and endured beyond human limits. Daniel felt his mind expand, filled with visions of mountains shifting, rivers bending, stars themselves trembling. For the first time, he did not just hear Earth's voice, he spoke back. "We are here. We will fight." And Earth answered, its voice in every heart, "Then rise with me." In that moment, humanity awakened. Not as scattered nations, not as broken tribes, but as one. The Council's fleet tried to retreat, but it was too late. Earth storms dragged them down. Ships cracked like glass, swallowed by waves and lightning. The mighty Sunkiller itself shattered, its power turned back upon the fleet that carried it. From the burning wreckage, only fragments escaped into the dark. On the ground, humans watched the sky explode in light and fire. Some wept, some cheered. All of them knew the truth. Earth was not only alive, Earth was unstoppable. The Galactic Council, far away in its crystal halls, received the final transmissions. Ships destroyed. Weapon lost. Humans changed. Earth awake, fear rippled through every alien heart. They had thought Earth was only a planet, but now they understood. Earth was a force that could shake the stars. And still the whispers continued. Not only to Daniel, but to millions of humans across the globe. This was only the first blow. More will come. But together we are more than survivors. We are the storm. The Earth had shown its rage. Now humanity would decide what to do with that power, and the galaxy had only begun to tremble. The stars tremble. The galaxy had always looked down on Earth. To the Council it was nothing but a primitive world, fragile and small. But now the galaxy trembled. The Sun Killer had failed. The Council's proud fleet was gone, burned, drowned, torn apart by storms. And Earth, once silent, now pulsed with power so vast it could be felt across the stars. In the great chamber of the Council, silence crushed every voice. Leaders from 100 worlds sat frozen, their eyes fixed on the broken reports. Ships destroyed. Armies scattered. Humans changed. This cannot be, whispered one counselor, her voice shaking. They were weak. They were divided. They are no longer divided, Orlith, the elder, replied. His golden eyes glowed with something between sorrow and awe. They are united with their world, with their rage, and with their destiny. A hologram of Earth shimmered above the chamber. It no longer looked like a simple planet. The blue seas glowed like veins of light. The mountains burned like living spines. The atmosphere itself shimmered with an energy that defied reason. The Council felt something they had not felt in centuries. Not anger, not pride, but fear. Far away on Earth, the humans stood under skies painted with endless auroras. The storms had passed, but the power remained. They could feel it in their bones, their strength, their unity, their purpose. Daniel stood among a gathering of thousands. His voice carried like thunder. We are not slaves of fear. We are not prey. We are the children of Earth. We are the storm, and the galaxy will remember us. The crowd roared, not with chaos, but with certainty. Humanity had awakened, and every heart beat with the same rhythm. The rhythm of their planet, but then the ground trembled again. Not in anger this time, but in revelation. Deep beneath the crust, Earth shifted. The oceans glowed brighter. The skies crackled. And for the first time in human history, the stars themselves seemed to bend. Daniel felt it before anyone else. A vision struck him like lightning. Earth not just fighting, not just defending, but moving. The planet was preparing to break free from its orbit. The humans gasped as the skies grew strange. The moon's pull weakened. The tides moved in patterns never seen before. Even the constellations shifted as if Earth itself was no longer bound by the sun. The voice of Earth filled every human mind. I have protected you. Now we rise together. No star will chain us. No empire will cage us. We will walk among the galaxies as one. The Council heard it too. Even across the void, they felt the voice. It cut through their shields, their walls, their pride. It was not just sound. It was truth. And in that moment, every leader of the Galactic Council understood. They were no longer the rulers of the stars. They were only witnesses to a power greater than their empires. Some screamed for war. Some begged for peace. Some fled the chamber, their courage shattered. But Orlith, the elder, only closed his eyes. He had known this day would come. The prophecy was true, he whispered. The world of blue and green has awakened. And now, the stars themselves will tremble. On Earth, humanity looked up at the night sky. They were no longer afraid. They were no longer weak. For the first time, they truly saw themselves. Not as small creatures bound to one planet, but as part of a living force greater than any empire. The planet's heartbeat thundered. The galaxies quaked. And in the silence after the storm, the truth stood clear. Earth was no longer just a world. Humanity was no longer just a species. Together they were a weapon. Together they were destiny, and the galaxy had learned too late.